Just in a brand new interview with a Capitol police officer who was on duty during the deadly January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Officer Harry Dunn spoke with ABC News just moments ago.
If I can imagine what war is like, I would imagine it was like that. We had our guns out, we had our rifles, our long guns, and I was on this stage and I'm thinking, all these people out there, they're armed too. They had guns on them. And a sea of people, and you can't know who you're looking at, which one is looking at you. And they see me out there with this rifle, and I'm like, I'm gonna get shot.
Wow. Joining me now, Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar. She is the chair of the Rules Committee, which will co-hold the first congressional hearing on the deadly insurrection tomorrow. Senator, thanks so much for being with us. Thanks, it was chilling, John, to hear that. Tomorrow, you have called the acting chief of the Metropolitan Police Department, the former Senate Sergeant at Arms, the former House Sergeant at Arms, and the former chief of the U.S. Capitol Police. What's the most important question you want answered at this point?
What happened and how we can make sure it doesn't happen again. I really want to have a constructive hearing here. We all saw the horror of what happened, not only the words of the officer you just heard from, but also at the impeachment hearing, the searing videos, the officer shrieking between the doors of the Capitol. And on my mind will be what happened with the National Guard. Why was there a delay in that deployment? How about intelligence sharing? What went wrong there? Who knew what should have happened faster, and then of course the whole structure. Right now the police chief of the Capitol Police reports to this police board should things be done differently so that decisions can be made in a better way to focus on security. There is a lot that we have to unpack, and I want to make a point that this hearing is a bipartisan hearing. We agreed on everything together. Senator Blunt, along with our counterparts on the Homeland Security Committee, Senator Peters, Senator Portman. We want to have a constructive hearing. I can't control what some of the senators will say or do, but we have to make decisions now, John, about the security of the Capitol moving forward. And it is my hope that these answers and the information we get from this hearing will help us craft solutions immediately.
Look, I'm glad it's bipartisan, and why shouldn't it be? There were Democrats and Republicans and independents and non-affiliated people, all who were in the U.S. Capitol when it was invaded on January 6th. It should be bipartisan, but you have people like Senator Ron Johnson, who's out there saying he doesn't think it was an armed insurrection. I mean, how do you combat ideas like that?
I think, first of all, you know he is in the minority here. Many Republicans, including Mitch McConnell, have made it very clear what happened that day, and also that the president is responsible for much of this. But Ron Johnson can use his 7 minutes of questioning to spout those theories if he wants. I know that many of us want to get to the bottom of what happened, ask the questions. Just as you heard from the words of that police officer, there were many people that were close to death, and we lost a number of officers, either death, suicide, or, of course, from what happened that day at the Capitol. And I just don't think there's time to make political hay at this particular hearing. We've got to figure out how we can do better and how we can get the National Guard there quicker, what the security measures should be going forward, a decision made by the leaders.
Let's talk about the National Guard for a second, because the former chief of the U.S. Capitol Police, Stephen Sund, has written a letter to members of Congress saying, I still cannot fathom why in the midst of an armed insurrection, which was broadcast worldwide on television, it took the Department of Defense over 3 hours to approve an urgent request for National Guard support. You talk about why the delays. How do you get an answer to a question like that?
Well, first of all, we'll be asking Chief Sund questions, and he'll have an opportunity to make that case. But then we're going to have an additional hearing with high-level representatives from the Defense Department, from the FBI, and from Homeland Security to be able to ask those questions as well. I believe, as do the other leaders of these committees, that we need to get answers sooner rather than later because big decisions have to be made, including who will be hired as a new police chief, and what better protocols can be put in place, what better structure. Maybe that this structure with this police board that the police chief reports to is fine for some things, but not for leading up into a potential crisis in terms of who makes decisions and how they make decisions. Those are the things on my mind. I don't
like
want to
to
have that police officer tell that story again, that he was put in a position that he didn't feel prepared.
It was chilling. It was chilling to hear it. I do want to ask you about a piece of breaking news. We learned a few minutes ago that Senator Susan Collins of Maine is a no on Neera Tanden, who has been nominated to lead the Office of Management and Budget. She is a no vote. Joe Manchin, Democrat from West Virginia, came out as a no vote on Friday. What do you think should happen with this nomination now?
I think that Leader Schumer and President Biden have made it very clear that they're going to keep moving forward and basically look for votes here. Neera Tanden has vast experience. She is someone that would do a very good job as the Director of Office Management and Budget. I don't think people were particularly surprised by Senator Collins' vote. I know she'd been talking to people about it ahead of time. But there are other votes as well. Hugh Hewitt, the conservative columnist, just came out with a column asking Republicans to vote for Neera Tanden. So they've made it very clear. The president has made it very clear he's standing with Neera Tanden.
Joe Manchin is also a no on an increase in the minimum wage as part of the $1.9 trillion relief plan. Joe Manchin's wielding a lot of power right now. I know you are someone who is seen oftentimes in more of the center of the Democratic Party in the Senate. But how comfortable are you with Joe Manchin throwing his weight around like this?
Joe Manchin has every right. He's an individual senator to take positions that he would take, and he's actually worked with me and many others on constructively on so many bills, including the work that's been done this past year on bipartisan packages involving coronavirus relief. And you've seen him support a number of the president's nominees, of President Biden's nominees this year. And I know I personally support the $15 increase in the minimum wage. I think you're going to see action on that in the House. And the president has said he's going to work with everyone to increase the minimum wage. So these things don't happen like magic in one day. There's negotiations. There's many opportunities to advance this. So stay tuned.
Senator Klobuchar, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you.
Good to be on.
So the former president is coming back out on the national stage in just a few days. He'll address a conference of conservatives, and judging